Confucians use writing to break the law, while knights use martial arts to break the ban. Starting from dragons and snakes, crossing the heavens and all realms. Using force to hit someone is like hanging a painting, and your kung fu is to the bone without fear of a gun. Breaking through the void, seeing God is not bad. How far can Wang Lin, who has embarked on the path of traditional Chinese medicine, go? What kind of storms will be stirred up in the world behind him after he reaches the summit of the dragon snake? Liaozhai White Snake, journey to the west to seal the gods, cover the sky and swallow, perfect star river, current world. Dragon and snake. Under one person. Yang God. Baoyan Lantern Prequel. Yang God. Zhichen, keywords of the novel. Zongheng Tian. Starting from the 8 extremes fist without a pop-up window, Zongheng Tian. Starting from the 8 extremes fist. Download the complete text. Zongheng Tian. Starting from the 8 extremes fist. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Mastery of Dragon and Snake's Initial 8 Extremes Fist, New Book. Follow up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 2. Master Ma's Shock, for follow-up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Master Ma's Shock, for follow-up, Master Ma, comes so early. Wang Lin smiled and handed his hand over, jokingly saying. Ma Yu, the Mingjin martial artist invited by Wang Lin to practice Chongquan, was the one he paid for. Ma Yu didn't mind and laughed heartily twice. After shaking hands with Wang Lin, the two of them entered the house. It's more like a villa than a house, with 3 floors and a small garden downstairs. The walls are decorated with high-quality wallpaper, the floor of the lobby is exquisitely made of marble, and there is also a large balcony on the roof. This cost Wang Lin a lot of money, but he couldn't bear to let his child have a wolf, so he rented this villa as a temporary residence, which can be considered as fulfilling his previous life dream. Boss Wang, let's start. Ma Yu didn't hesitate and went straight to the topic. Okay. Wang Lin smiled and said, although he now has the insight of transforming energy, it has not been applied yet. In the world of dragons and snakes, bones and tendons are more important than muscles. Dragons and snakes develop their bodies, and the foundation of everything is qi and blood. Boss Wang, I'll teach you how to stand on a stake first. Zhuogong is the foundation for practicing Chinese martial arts. If you make a mistake in Zhuogong, you will only get twice the result with half the effort. Therefore, Ma Yu attaches great importance to it, and Wang Lin. The national technique of dragon and snake world is to develop body secrets, break limits, and ultimately refine the body. However, among many similar worlds, the foundation laid by dragon and snake is considered very solid. As he spoke, Ma Yu slowly demonstrated the stance of the horse stance, with his back straight and legs slightly bent, as if sitting on a horse. All the movements may seem simple and not very different from the horse steps that people usually take, but it should be noted that horse steps and pile skills are not the same system and cannot be confused just because they are similar. Mabu exercises the lower body, while Mabu stake cultivates qi and blood, making it easier for tendons, bones, and marrow. The details are also the most difficult to understand. Boss Wang, don't be fooled by the simplicity of horse stance stakes. They can not only exercise your physical strength and endurance, but also cultivate qi and blood. Ma Yu explained earnestly, fearing that Wang Lin might not understand the tricks involved. Wang Lin smiled and nodded, then learned Ma Yu's movements and started practicing. With a systematic infusion of 8 extremes fist, Wang Lin quickly entered a state and adjusted his breathing. If Wang Lin's horse walking skills are beginners in the morning, then in just a short while, he has become an experienced boxer who has been practicing for many years. As time passed, Wang Lin gradually understood some of the principles of the horse stance, and his body trembled with subtle sounds. Although there are differences between the Liangyi stake and the Xingyi trisolarans of the 8 extremes fist, they share the same goal and each has its own advantages. Standing there, he felt that his blood vessels were slightly blocked. He frowned and adjusted his posture bit by bit until he felt comfortable all over before stopping. During the process of standing, focus on your body and feel the vibrations and undulations of your muscles and muscles. Ma Yu continued to explain and glanced at Wang Lin, realizing that he didn't stand at all like a newcomer. He waited on the side and also wanted to see how long Wang Lin could stand. Time passes by minute by second, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. Ma Yu's gaze changed from wanting to watch a good movie to shock, and now he completely doesn't believe that Wang Lin is a beginner. Wang Lin's muscles began to ache slightly, but he no longer cared. He was fully focused on experiencing the wonderful feeling of standing on the stake and feeling the enhancement of his own strength. The feeling of increased strength from this feeling made him unable to stop. "Boss Wang, it's almost done. It's not good to stand for too long." Ma Yu saw that Wang Lin had no intention of stopping and quickly interrupted. Regardless of whether Wang Linxue has learned boxing or not, he must fulfill his duty. After listening, Wang Lin stopped and moved his body for a while. He didn't feel any tearing sensation at all, only felt some soreness in his legs, and he had already improved after exercising. On the other side, Ma Yu stood in the center, his arms suddenly spread out, showing strong muscle lines. He stood as if he was loose, his feet steadily stepping on the floor, his powerful thigh muscles seemed ready to burst at any moment, and the large tendons on his arms pulled them together. Grasp your hand into a fist, your eyes firm and powerful, as if you want to see everything in front of you. Take big steps, clench your hands into fists, and raise them high above your head. Fist shadows fluttered and filled with power. Suddenly, he struck a straight punch, his arm thrusting forward like lightning, his muscles tense, and his whole body concentrated in one point. With a crisp, pop sound, each punch is accompanied by a coordinated effort from the waist and legs, making the entire body movement unified and powerful. Ma Yu's demonstration of Chongquan is as easy, smooth, and powerful as everyday rice. It took a long time to stop. "How do you think, Mr. Wang?" Ma Yuchang breathed a sigh of relief and turned to ask Wang Lin. Wang Lin nodded and said, "I almost know everything." "What?" Ma Yu looked at Wang Lin incredulously, as if asking if he was joking. Wang Lin didn't answer, went straight forward, spread his posture, and practiced the entire set of movements in a rusty way. Ma Yu did not see any problems, and in some places, Wang Lin took a different approach, with the shadow of the 8 extremes fist. Wang Lin is indeed practicing Chongquan for the first time, and he can see it. However, looking at Wang Lin's boxing style, Ma Yu feels numb. His expertise in Ba Ji Quan is not low. However, Ma Yu couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Boss Wang is really good at practicing martial arts. Even though it took him a week just to remember the actions back then, let alone Wang Lin who is still innovating. At this moment, Wang Lin entered a state where he slowly transformed from his original long fist to the 8 extremes fist, playing it over and over again, and his whole body was immersed in it. Although there are insights instilled in the system, they are ultimately not one's own. Now, taking this opportunity, turn these insights into one's own. At the same time, by combining Ma Yu's teaching of long fist with some of it, it can be said that Wang Lin Kai has truly mastered the lifelong insights of a master of 8 extremes fist. For a long time, Wang Lin stopped and turned to look at Ma Yu with a shocked expression on his face. He couldn't help but interrupt the passage. "Master Ma, Master Ma." Ma Yu regained his senses and looked at Wang Lin with a complex expression. He thought Wang Lin was a novice who didn't understand anything, but ended up being a master of the 8 extremes fist who was no weaker than himself. "Boss Wang, you're not being kind. I think you're a master of Chinese martial arts. You're practicing the 8 extremes fist, right?" Wang Lin felt a bit embarrassed and couldn't say anything directly. "I didn't know anything in the morning, but with the system, I became a master of the 8 extremes fist." And now he only has skills and needs some basic support. Master Ma, I'm sorry, I really want to learn Changquan. If I make any taboos, then I'm really sorry, Wang Lin said with a smile. He also knew in his past life that many of his martial arts were not easily passed down. On the one hand, it was because of his family's views, and on the other hand, who wouldn't want to keep a hand? Ma Yu smiled bitterly and said, Boss Wang, I am just someone who has just joined Mingjin. I have been practicing with some methods passed down in the Chinese martial arts world by my master until now. Now that my master has passed away, and in this era, traditional Chinese medicine cannot always support me. I am not that old-fashioned. Wang Lin also let out a long sigh upon hearing this. Indeed, in a modern society, it is not easy to practice traditional Chinese medicine if one cannot reach a high level of depth. Although there are many people in the dragon and snake world who are not afraid of guns, this does not include people like Ma Yu. Firearms have always dominated this world, and without the strength of Tang Zichen, Ba Liming, and God, firearms could be deadly. Ding, system task, revitalizing traditional Chinese medicine, reaching the pinnacle, whether to accept it or not. After completing the task, you will have one chance to win a lottery and one chance to travel through the world. At this moment, the sound of the system came. World Shuttle. Can I still go to other worlds in the system? Wang Lin was overjoyed and quickly inquired. Can I go home? Wang Lin was delighted to hear that he could travel around the world. Ding, no, this system can only allow the host to travel to some familiar worlds. Okay. Wang Lin felt a bit disappointed in his heart, but he quickly adjusted. Accepted, but how can we complete the task of revitalizing the martial arts world and system? Wang Lin asked. The host needs to make the world recognize national skills or achieve personal strength first in the world in order to complete the task. The mechanical sound of the system is transmitted. If the officials provide feedback, I will make changes if possible. Begging for collection and monthly pass. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The underground fist arena is amazing at the beginning, with two humming notes entering the dark energy, seeking. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 4. Hidden murder and escape from danger. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 5. The King of Martial Arts, Ba Liming. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 5. The King of Martial Arts, Ba Liming. After inquiring everywhere, Wang Lin finally found the figure of Ba Liming in a deep mountain prison in HB province. The prison is located deep in the mountains, with towering trees and dense shrubs within sight. A prison stands out here, with a huge iron gate separating prisoners from the outside world. It is surrounded by an 8-meter-high wall, with iron spikes and a power grid on top, making it impossible for ordinary martial arts experts to enter. Mr. Wang, you must not act recklessly later. The prison guard warned, no one has come to see this martial arts king from the previous era, but not everyone can come out unscathed. I couldn't help but shiver at the thought of the miserable situation I had when guiding him. Of course, I admire the reputation of the king of martial arts and came to learn some moves, Wang Lin smiled. In order to visit Ba Liming, Wang Lin spent a lot of money. It was only through his understanding of the situation and his reasoning that he obtained the opportunity to visit the prison. After turning a few corners, two prison guards with guns reached out and stopped them. The prison guard showed the visiting letter before allowing Wang Lin and the others in. The narrow corridor was only dimly lit, and the ground was covered in dust. I saw myself wandering through one cell after another, and finally arrived at the deepest cell. A small room of over 20 square meters, with a simple table and a bed, but exceptionally clean. A burly middle-aged man was sitting on the bed, his hands and feet bound by shackles, and there was also an iron chain tied around his waist. The middle-aged man closed his eyes, but he could still hear the beating of his heart. Wang Lin only felt palpitations in his heart, an indescribable discomfort, and before he could approach, he could feel the pressure. His energy and blood were like a dragon, and his mixed energy was like one. This is Baliming now. It's the first time I've seen him, and Wang Lin still feels a little excited in his heart. The king of martial arts in the previous era, a generation of martial arts masters proficient in the world's boxing techniques. When the original work appeared, it had already reached the limit of alchemy and was well-rounded in both literature and martial arts. Its fist meaning was, Emperor Star Wandering, the world is against it. Martial arts include Xiang crossing the river, De Kong Luan Quan, Hu Xiao Jin Zhong Guan, Long Yin Tai Bushan, etc., with strong and fierce gameplay. And in the battle against the god leader in Kyoto, he was seriously injured but never died, stepping into the realm of breaking the void and seeing the gods but not harming. Master Ba, I heard that Master Wang Lin is here and came to visit. I hope to teach you something, Wang Lin bowed and said. I saw Baliming open his eyes and suddenly a glimmer of light flashed through the dimly lit cell. Empty room turns white. Glancing at Wang Lin, he was slightly surprised. Are you practicing the 8 extremes fist? The practice is pretty good. Your pores are tightly closed all over your body, and your qi and blood are strong. It may not be long before you can transform from dark to dark. Wang Lin's training methods are certainly good, but the ones used in the system should not be too bad. What do you want to learn? Baliming sat cross-legged and asked. The younger generation wants to learn everything, Wang Lin said with a serious expression on his face. The room suddenly fell silent for a moment. Ha ha ha, only heard a sound that seemed like a dragon roaring and a tiger howling echoing in the room, like thunder. Wang Lin felt his body's qi and blood churning, and his mind was in a frenzy. You're really greedy, then I'll see if you have this ability. With a loud laugh, he finished speaking and waved his hand. A chain was thrown up by Baliming, and he only heard the sound of clattering, like a python opening its mouth and flying towards Wang Linfei. Wang Lin's eyes froze and he flipped his body aside, only to see the iron chain hit the ground with a snap, creating a crack that spread 1 meter on the cement floor. Hiss. Wang Lin took a deep breath of cold air, and if it hit him, it wouldn't kill anyone. With a blink of an eye, a man with a tiger's back and a bear's waist appeared in front of him. Wang Lin quickly swung a punch, which used a dark force. The person in front of him also punched, and with this punch, the sound of bone pulling, like the roar of a tiger, kept ringing. 2 fists collided in the air, and the wind blew dust all over the ground. Wang Lin took 3 steps back and painfully withdrew his hand. Ha! 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 The iron windows of the entire room were shaking, ready to shatter at any moment. Kid, the basic skills are pretty good. I'll teach you for a while, and it's up to you to learn to what extent. Baliming's deafening voice echoed into Wang Lin. Wang Lin smiled bitterly. This trip was really not easy, but getting guidance was enough. Can you show me what you know first? Baliming sat down by the bed and said in a deep voice. Wang Lin immediately showed what he had learned to Baliming, including Baji Fist, Changquan, Liangyi Stake, and Liuha Spear. After Wang Lin finished showing it, Baliming frowned on the side. Your practice is very good, but your playing style is a mess. Baliming shook his head, tangible and lifeless, with energy in weakness. Wang Lin immediately clenched his fists and said, Please advise, senior. Baliming said, Do you know what you lack the most? Wang Lin thought for a while and replied, Spirit. Yes, your boxing doesn't have your own god, just watch my punch. Baliming stood still with both feet and hit Wang Lin. He saw Baliming slowly swing his fist, and as he swung his fist, the surrounding air was squeezed open, making bursts of explosive sounds. Wang Lin only felt that Baliming in front of him instantly became incredibly tall, like a flat boat drifting with the wind. The momentum of daring to call the sun and moon for a new sky overwhelmed Wang Lin. This is the boxing meaning of Baliming. The Emperor's star is floating, and the whole world is turning against it. This is Ba Madman. Thinking back to when he punched Shaolin and kicked Wudong, causing chaos in the entire martial arts world, it shows how terrifying this momentum is. His fist stopped in front of Wang Lin, motionless. Wang Lin felt drenched all over, with sweat droplets as big as beans dripping onto the ground. He couldn't lift his strength. At the moment Ba Liming punched, his tightly closed pores opened up and he let out a breath. You should know that with Neijia fist, he practiced for a while. Without this breath, his combat power greatly decreased. Although I didn't hit him, the shock I had for Wang Lin was not insignificant. In the past, I only saw it in books and only knew the horror of Chinese martial arts masters on the ground. At the same time, he is also pondering what his boxing intention is. Is it heaven and earth, where only I am? Or is it free and easy to attain enlightenment and become immortal? It depends on your own intelligence. Watching Wang Lin standing in place thinking, Ba Liming didn't say much. A person's God or fist intention cannot be helped by others. With a wave of his big hand, a gust of strong wind blew away the dust in the room, and then he returned to bed and sat cross-legged. After thinking for a while, Wang Lin felt that there was a lack of opportunity, and it seemed impossible to understand in the short term, so he stopped delving deeper. After regaining his senses, he said, "Senior, please come on for this period of time." Ba Liming just smiled. He hadn't seen someone as interesting as Wang Lin in a long time. His practice was the best he had ever seen, but his gameplay was a mess. In other words, he was from a prestigious school and wouldn't know how to fight. Such a good seedling cannot be wasted. The Chinese martial arts world needs some experts. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but lose his composure. Over the years, he has also learned about some external developments from prison guards. Under the influence of firearms, where can traditional Chinese culture still prevail? Humph. Thinking of this, Ba Liming let out a cold snort, and his body temperature suddenly dropped 3 zhang. For him now, ordinary guns and cannons can no longer harm him. If it weren't for the lack of opponents, how could he have stayed here for over 30 years? These small chains can't hold him back. In the following period, Ba Liming taught Wang Lin everything he knew, including the 8 extremes, form and meaning, and Tai Chi. All that he had learned throughout his life as a master of Chinese martial arts. Under his guidance, Wang Lin made rapid progress, and the biggest gain was learning many techniques such as Ba Liming's Tiger Roar Golden Bell Mask, Dragon Whispering Iron Cloth Shirt, and Random Arrow Strike. With the consent of Ba Liming, the prison guards did not make things difficult for him and came here every day to study. I had become familiar with it from time to time, and Wang Lin occasionally brings some delicious wine and food to pay tribute to Ba Liming. Day after day passed like this, I saw Wang Lin and Ba Liming fighting fiercely in the prison cell. The iron ropes on Ba Liming's body were clattering, and the fists between the two were heavily intertwined. Both of them were naked, with muscle lines on their bronze skin, as if cast from steel bars. Their fists occasionally landed on each other, making a thud sound, like a copper bell colliding. But both sides turned a blind eye and only focused on attacking. It took a long time before it stopped. Kid Wang, this tiger roaring golden bell shield and dragon chanting iron cloth shirt are already small. Ba Liming laughed. During this period, he was amazed by Wang Lin's efforts, practicing until he collapsed to the ground every day, which can be said to be very crazy. It was precisely because of this momentum that Ba Liming patiently taught. Thank you very much, Senior. Wang Lin's voice was full of vitality. After training and guidance, he seemed to have changed a person, both in temperament and strength, and he was only one step away from transforming his strength. Senior, I'm ready to leave today, said Wang Lin. Well, you must not lose my reputation when you go out, otherwise I will go out and kill you. Ba Liming laughed. Thinking of that god, Wang Lin still mentioned it before leaving. Senior, I heard that there is a martial arts enthusiast named God who is dedicated to seeking the Tao and claims to be a god. He should have the strength to move upwards with vigorous energy and should not be far from breaking through the void. Upon hearing this, Baliming frowned and immediately exclaimed, "Ha ha ha, there is still such a number one person in the world. I will personally go find him in a while." However, before leaving, he planned to impart some of his national skills to the prison guards. After all, after watching him for so many years, it was all about emotions. Wang Lin nodded and said goodbye to Ba Liming before embarking on the road back to Sea City. He plans to walk back step by step, measure the earth with his feet, and feel the rivers and mountains of his motherland. Calculating time in his heart, with his current foot strength, he will be able to reach the mountains and rivers by early December, which is also an opportunity for him to break through his energy. It's really interesting to see Tang Zichen and Wang Chao then. Practice by example, polish one's character, travel thousands of miles in mountains and rivers, and witness the teachings of the mortal world. Poor everyone, please collect and ask for votes. Woo 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 woo. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The Way of Sincerity can be known in advance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The Way of Sincerity can be known in advance. The suburban road, after a light rain, the weather gradually cooled down. The sunset set in the west, and a red sunset appeared in the sky. Wang Lin was wearing loose short sleeves and went on a light journey alone. He set off from the city and entered the vast wilderness. Flowers, plants, trees, mountains, rivers, everything is so wonderful. In his past life, he had always lived in the city and didn't have many opportunities to experience the beauty of the world. In the fast-paced era, he didn't have much time to experience life. With a lot of helplessness, work, emotions, life, and more, it's like a puppet holding strings. Although playing different roles, it has the same script. Continuously drifting in the world, struggling hard, striving for a better life for oneself. Wang Lin couldn't help but sigh that the farthest trip from home in his past life was when he crossed provinces and climbed mountains with his roommates in college. The journey begins with the phrase, "Farewell to the feast of the amazing goose on earth." At that time, a group of 3 people set off late at night to find a train with a suitable price and directly stood at the destination. When playing, the whole day is packed with space, focusing on a special forces-style tour. I don't know if I can see those friends and family in the future, maybe in the future. Thinking of this, Wang Lin's desire to become stronger became even stronger. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Wang Lin completely released his mind and body, feeling the wonders of nature, which is also a new beginning. He felt the rustling of leaves under his feet, the gentle mountain breeze stirring his face, the hard work of footsteps in the muddy wetland, and the coldness of the river. As we walked, we unconsciously arrived at a field where the golden wheat swayed incessantly in the gentle breeze, as if waving to passers-by. This scene stirred up memories for Wang Lin. It seems that in high school, when the national hero Yuan Lao passed away, he even wrote a 10,000-word article in his diary to mourn Yuan Lao. He spent a day there, even mocking himself for meddling. But now he also has a clear conscience. Looking at this wheat field, I couldn't help but feel moved by the scenery, and then set off again, walking on the small path in the field, 1 foot deep and 1 foot shallow, gradually traveling far away. On the first day, just a few dozen miles away, heavy rain began to pour down, mercilessly hitting the ground, forming a dense rain curtain. The sky was gloomy, and the strong wind howled. In the rain, a figure walked alone, as if indifferent to the heavy rain. Every step leaves footprints on the wet path, and the rain quickly fills up, spreading all the way to the distance. The unknown awaits him ahead. Wang Lin controlled his entire body's qi and blood, resisting the cold. The heavy rain hit him, soaking his hair and dripping down his face, but his eyes were firm and resolute, and his complexion remained unchanged. The rain soaked the clothes, but he didn't care at all. The next day, Wang Lin walked over 100 kilometers and passed by a small mountain village. A family of villagers saw him and invited him to eat. Therefore, he stayed here for a day to harvest crops for the farmers. With Wang Lin's help, the work that originally took a week to complete ended in one day. In order to repay him, the villagers bought fish and chicken to make a big meal, which Wang Lin gladly accepted. Feeling the simple folk customs, I spent the night with everyone cheering and laughing. Seeing that Wang Lin was only wearing a short-sleeved shirt, the villagers gave him a raincoat and a bamboo hat. After Wang Lin accepted it, he set off on the road. On the third day, Wang Lin walked an unknown distance and walked into the deep mountains. A towering mountain peak stood in front of him, blocking the way. Wang Lin was not afraid at all, climbing the steep cliffs. The mountain road was steep, and even his shoes were worn out. The rocks and soil trembled under his feet. He controls his body muscles and adjusts the way he puts in effort, so his control over himself is constantly increasing. The mountain climbing road was very bumpy, and as the altitude increased, each step required extra danger, but he did not stop and continued to climb the peak with his usual expression. If someone were to look carefully on the side, they would be surprised to find that he still hasn't sweated after walking for so long. Breathing is also very smooth. On the fourth day, Wang Lin climbed to the top of the mountain, and in front of him was a magnificent painting. At the top of this high mountain, he overlooks the thousands of beautiful peaks, which stretch endlessly like the backbone of a giant reaching into the sky. At the foot of the mountain, a small river meanders and flows like a silver belt winding around the mountains. At this moment, Wang Lin's soul felt a shock. Looking into the distance, he couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. He waited until the sun set and the setting sun shone on him, and he remained motionless. The Milky Way flows, and at night, the stars shine brightly, feeling the flow of time and the vastness of the universe. In the vast universe, humans are insignificant, life is brief and precious. Under the reflection of the Milky Way, Wang Lin's heart suddenly calmed down, and all the troubles and pains seemed to dissipate, like the twinkling light of the Milky Way. That night, Wang Lin stood on the mountaintop, letting the wind blow and his thin figure stand out under the starlight. On the fifth day, as the first ray of sunshine shone on Wang Lin's body, at this moment, the world turned from darkness to brightness, and the world suddenly became bright. A bird flew to Wang Lin's shoulder, seeming curious about why the tree was so strange, but as it tried to stop on it, it found a current of air blocking it and could only flap its wings. Several flying leaves seemed to have been obstructed and slid down Wang Lin's body to the ground. Fly feathers cannot fall, leaves do not add to it. Wang Lin suddenly started to move and lifted the bird with one hand. The bird struggled to take off, but could not fly and had no focus at all. It's really wonderful. Wang Lin felt the change in himself and the little bird in his palm, while his heart was peaceful and he understood many things he didn't understand before. The spirit seems to have transcended the limitations of the body, and is more sensitive to the surrounding environment. Even with his eyes closed, he can feel something 3 feet in front of him. Bodhi has no trees, and the mirror is not a platform. It has nothing, where can it cause dust? Wang Lin said softly. Yes, after feeling the vastness of the starry sky, Wang Lin's spirit was broken through, his soul was sublimated, and he also broke through the power of transformation. Everything happened very naturally. He also understood that such opportunities were rare, and letting nature take its course was sometimes much more effective than chasing after them with all his might. Improving one's spiritual realm is also very rare. The little bird in my palm was released and looked into the distance. Tang Zichen, who was far away overseas, suddenly felt palpitations in her heart, but there were no signs of danger. She turned her head to look at China, and this was her sincere response. There is a great opportunity in the mainland. Is this, murmured softly, someone, I'm planning to go back to China, and you guys will each do your part, said the opponent with some determination. In the following time, Wang Lin crossed the grassland, crossed the river, and measured the beautiful mountains and rivers of his motherland step by step. During this period, he leaped with monkeys in the mountains, fought against wolves, accompanied tigers, and even crossed the wrist with black bears. Witnessing the beauty and cruelty of nature, but also putting oneself in danger and striving to escape. Finally arrived at the destination. On the small road in the suburbs of Sea City, passers-by looked at Wang Lin's tattered clothes and shoes and couldn't help but distance themselves. Wang Lin's eyes were full of vicissitudes, and his profound gaze made passers-by look sideways. He returned home, took care of himself, sorted out his clothes and shoes, washed himself up, and brewed tea. At dusk, sitting on the balcony, drinking tea, feeling the taste of bitterness and sweetness, closing one's eyes to rest. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Meet Wang Chao and pair hands with Tang Zichen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Meet Wang Chao and pair hands with Tang Zichen. In the early morning, the north wind howled, and from afar, it looked like a thick layer of feathers covering the earth, a vast expanse of white. There were not many pedestrians on the road, only sanitation workers started working early. Pedestrians on the road trembled in the cold wind, breathing white air and walking cautiously. In an uninhabited riverside park, branches were bent down under the weight of snow, and a piece of open space was surrounded by a pine tree. A young man wearing a long shirt is practicing Tai Chi on the snow, which is slightly different from Tai Chi on the square. His movements are slow but full of power, and he even drives the falling snowflakes. This young man is Wang Lin. Since learning Tai Chi and Xingyi from Baliming, Wang Lin has been practicing every day. Now, he has entered the realm of strength transformation and has mastered various martial arts techniques. Wang Lin withdrew his fist and exhaled a breath that turned into a white arrow, slowly dissipating only after a few yards. If someone sees it, they will definitely exclaim, lying down. Breathing out becomes a sword. This is not scientific. At this moment, a 16-year-old boy passed by and said, "Brother Wang. I started practicing boxing so early." "Wang Chao, I went to school so early," Wang Lin smiled as he looked at Wang Chao. There's nothing I can do. Brother Wang, I'll leave first." Wang Chao looked at the time and realized that class was about to start, so he quickly left. Since Wang Lin returned to Sea City, he has found the community where Wang Chao lives and comes here every morning to practice martial arts. When he first arrived, Wang Chao didn't care, but every day after that, he found that Wang Lin was practicing boxing in the park wearing thin long sleeves, rain or shine. He couldn't help but admire it. On such a cold day, he was still wearing a long shirt to exercise until one day, when he passed by the place where Wang Lin was practicing, he found a punch mark on the tree and directly hit the wood. Wang Chao was extremely shocked that a person could use their fists to punch marks on a tree. As for why, there is no doubt, Wang Chao knows everyone in this place and there is no need to doubt it. From that day on, Wang Chao knew that Wang Lin was a master and would greet him every day. He really wanted to ask why Wang Lin was so powerful and if he could guide himself, but due to face-saving reasons, he never said anything. Wang Lin also saw Wang Chao's thoughts and did not poke them. If Wang Chao doesn't say it, he won't ask either. Teaching disciples, Wang Lin currently does not have this idea. Even if Wang Chao is the protagonist of this world, Tang Zichen is more suitable for teaching Wang Chao. Thinking of Tang Zichen. I've been here for so long, but I haven't encountered Tang Zichen, Wang Lin muttered to himself. Now he needs someone to test his abilities, and Tang Zichen is certainly the best candidate. He doesn't have any strange thoughts, so he's not worried about Tang Zichen not coming. Just wait now. The next day, Wang Lin arrived here as usual, but today there was an additional woman wearing sportswear and a ponytail, playing Tai Chi. Upon seeing this, Wang Lin's lips slightly curved upwards. Tang Zichen, after staying for so long, finally arrived. But now is not the time. Wang Lin walked all the way to the place where he practiced boxing and started practicing as usual, from the 8 extremes to Tai Chi and then to the form and meaning. Tang Zichen was also paying attention. It's really interesting to meet a master of chemical energy here. Tang Zichen was surprised and ignored it. Although the chemical energy was very strong, it didn't pose a threat to her in general. In the next few days, this once deserted park will have 2 permanent guests, so there was a scene where on a snowy day, a woman in sportswear and a man in long sleeves were practicing their fists against the heavy snow, without disturbing each other. Occasionally, there is a boy watching next to him. One weekend, as soon as the snow stopped, Chao stood aside. He had made up his mind to wait here and came as soon as the holiday was over. He believes that Wang Lin and his team will be moved by him and teach 2 moves. Wang Lin took credit and said to Tang Zichen in the distance, "Miss, my name is Wang Lin. The kid over there is Wang Chao. I've been here for so long, and I don't know what your name is." Tang Zichen also politely responded, "Tang Zichen. I see your martial arts skills. You've been practicing martial arts for many years, right?" Wang Lindao. Tang Zichen smiled and nodded. "How about a hand gesture?" Wang Lin smiled and said. Tang Zichen thought for a moment, and during this time he had also gained a preliminary understanding of the person in front of him, martial fool. "I practice until late at night every day, and as for why she knows, I have to ask her. And getting to know a master of chemical energy is very convenient for doing many things. In mainland China, it is still necessary to meet some people," Tang Zichen agreed. After so long, she was also curious about the strength of this martial idiot. However, he never spoke to her, just greeted her and started practicing boxing. I saw the 2 of them walking to the center of the garden, each putting on their own postures. Wang Lin stood quietly there, with a mountain-like posture, taking a step and practicing the 8 extremes fist. Tang Zichen, on the other hand, displayed the standard Tai Chi starting posture, flowing smoothly without any delay. Suddenly, Wang Lin turned his feet and in the blink of an eye, he approached Tang Zichen. He punched Tang Zichen on the head with a left punch, which Tang Zichen blocked with one hand. Wang Lin immediately kicked his right foot towards Tang Zichen's shin bone, and his right hand swung towards his neck, striking him as a fierce tiger in the 8 extremes fist climbing the mountain. Tang Zichen naturally knew Wang Lin's thoughts, and after using Tai Chi to resolve this move, he stepped back and turned around, slapping Wang Lin with a palm. Wang Lin followed with one palm, and with a bang, his palms made contact. Wang Lin only felt a strong force coming from the palm, a dark force. At the same time, his whole body was covered in sweat and hair, and he counterattacked with a dark force. The 2 of them's attack stirred up a burst of dust, and for a short time, neither of them was helpless. For a moment, Wang Lin and Tang Zichen both stopped at the same time. Wang Lin's palms were red and trembling incessantly, but he didn't care, only the excitement in his heart. At this moment, Tang Zichen glanced at his trembling hands. Wang Lin majored in the 8 extremes fist, which was exceptionally strong. Coupled with his physical condition, it was still somewhat powerful. Even if he didn't use all his strength, it was considered very good. What a powerful fist technique. Tang Zichen took the initiative to step forward, took vigorous steps to fight, and punched Wang Lin. This punch included the 3-body style, horse stance, breaking fists arrow power, and cannon fists flying power, so let's compare who was stronger. Let Wang Lin's eyes brighten up, and at the same time, his heart became serious dragon and snake strike. I didn't expect Tang Zichen to use this move. The air was blasted with this punch. If a cement wall is placed, it may be destroyed by life. Wang Lin mobilized his dark energy to concentrate on his fist, and his entire arm instantly expanded in a circle. Ground-to-sky cannon. The last move of the 8 extreme fists hit Tang Zichen. The 8 extremes fist is originally a powerful fist technique, with the standing ground and heavenly cannon being the most powerful. In the hands of the powerful Wang Lin, it unleashes unparalleled strength. When their fists were 1 inch apart, a visible wave of air formed, blowing away the snow around them, and their bodies became a forbidden area in the snow. The soil crumbled under their feet. Wang Linho and Tang Zichen stopped in time, and both of them stepped back at the same time. Tang Zichen took 1 step back, and Wang Lin took 3 steps back. Both sides stopped, sparring until the end. Wang Lin was ultimately a bit inferior, but he didn't care and didn't represent a lifetime for a moment. I've accepted. Wang Lin clenched his fists, and Tang Zichen also smiled. You're also very strong. As for Wang Chao on the side, he had already been shocked and his values had been completely destroyed. Can a person be so strong? Hitting someone in the air. If someone had told him this before, he would definitely have laughed at him. But after today's scene, he realized that there is still such a world in the world. Brother Wang, Sister Tang, are you martial arts? Wang Chao stuttered and said. Tang Zichen smiled and tilted her head, saying, this is Guoshu. Guoshu. Only killing without performing traditional Chinese martial arts. Do you want to learn it? Is that okay? Wang Chao was stunned. Of course, I see you've been watching it for so long, it's not bad, Tang Zichen said confidently. Then, seeing that Wang Lin didn't react, he said, you all come here in the future, I'll teach you for a while. Okay. Wang Lin on the side, truly deserving of the world's corrective power, terrifying like this. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. New practice methods for alloy guns, seeking follow-up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 9. Stopping a car and rescuing people, water below knee level. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Stopping a car and rescuing people, water below knee level. Brother Wang, what's up? Wang Chao just finished scolding a group of thugs and picked up his phone. I have something to do with you. I'll see you at the usual place. Okay. Wang Lin said and hung up the phone. Wang Lin walked out of the door and headed towards the park near Wang Chao, walking to the roadside, vehicles come and go. Suddenly, Wang Lin heard a woman shout, my little ya. Help my little ya, a middle-aged woman shouted with a crying voice. I saw a little girl suddenly run onto the road, with a speeding car in front of her. The car was getting closer and was about to collide with the little girl. Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of the little girl. Wang Lin stood still with both feet and hit the car with an elbow strike. With a loud bang, a large pit was pushed out in front of the car. The car was like hitting an indestructible wall, being cut off and scrapped. Wang Lin, half of his body got stuck in the car, and the road under his feet cracked open, with his feet all stuck in the ground. The whole person is facing the car, and the right elbow is slightly red, but it quickly dissipates and can be said to be intact. The pedestrians around exclaimed and stared at the scene in shock, unable to believe what was happening before them. A person stopped a moving car with their body. The girl's mother ran over and hugged her, crying and turning her head to thank the young man who saved her. Wang Lin took a few steps out and disappeared from the woman's sight, blending into the crowd. When the passers-by regained their senses, they realized that the young man who saved them had disappeared. However, a bystander captured the scene of Wang Lin saving someone and posted it online. Just as it was released, it attracted widespread discussion from netizens. Sleeping slot, this is Superman, right? It's too fake, the picture quality is fake at first glance. Is this an alien invasion of Earth? What aliens? These are disciples of the immortal sect. I have decided, Taoist. I'm going to cultivate immortality. Comment after comment instantly became popular across the internet, discussing this supernatural scene. Some people in the Chinese martial arts world knew that there is a master of chemical energy in Sea City now. But Wang Lin was unaware of all this. At this moment, he had arrived at the park and saw a young man staring blankly at the tree from a long distance. Wang Lin's heart was filled with joy, and he lowered his steps and quietly walked over. At this moment, Wang Chao was thinking about the martial arts manual left for Tang Zichen when he left, and he was thinking about areas he needed to improve. Suddenly, a hand was placed on his body, which startled him and made him sweat profusely. You should know that he is also intelligent now. With Tang Zichen's guidance, his strength is also quite good. It is impossible for an ordinary person to be completely unaware when approaching, but at this moment, someone has patted him on the shoulder. This means that if the other person has some other thoughts, they may have already laid down by now. Directly taking a gossip palm and slapping it towards the back, the person easily blocked it. With just one move, he knew he had no chance of winning, but he didn't intend to surrender. Wang Chao immediately attacked the newcomers with one hand, teasing their genitals or asking the monkeys to steal peaches. Good kid, you're so ruthless. I saw someone gently pat Wang Chao's hand. Wang Chao felt his arm numb and couldn't exert any strength. Upon hearing the familiar voice, Wang Chao smiled bitterly and said, Brother Wang, you scared me to death. Ha ha ha, okay, I won't play with you anymore. Wang Lin waved his hand. I called you here today to tell you that Tang Zichen has something to leave for. If there are any difficulties that cannot be solved, come to me. Wang Lin smiled mischievously and said, but the price for coming to me is to promise to help me with something. What's up? Wang Chao looked curious. The time has not arrived, you just need to remember, Wang Lin said impatiently. Okay, Wang Chao felt helpless. Since learning Chinese martial arts, many things cannot be solved by him alone. With Wang Lin's strength, he can indeed solve many problems that have troubled him. Just now I saw you take action and have achieved results in your practice, but there are some things to pay attention to, Wang Lin reminded. I see that you seem to want to play a dark side in your shot. Wang Chao nodded. It should be noted that compared to the original work, Wang Chao now has Tang Zichen's guidance and has also observed the sparring between Wang Lin and Tang Zichen. His progress has been faster, and he has reached the threshold of a hint of dark energy. The dark energy needs to be emitted through the pores to drive qi and blood. You haven't practiced the clear energy well yet, and you can't even control the opening and closing of pores. How can you make a move? Even if you use the dark energy, it will still hurt your body. Wang Lin had a positive expression on his face. This is not a joke. If the training method is not correct, the more hidden injuries his body will suffer. How can he achieve full strength consistency with more hidden injuries? Breaking through the power of transformation is difficult. Even if you are lucky enough to break through the power of transformation, there is no hope of holding the pill. Unless Wang Chao is able to skip the Dan and Gang energies and achieve them, he can break the void and see the spirit without being bad. By feeling himself, he can control his body to self-heal. However, unlike him who has neither golden fingers nor natural treasures, Wang Chao is not easily considered useless in the world of Chinese martial arts. Wang Chao couldn't help but blush upon hearing this. He was indeed anxious when he saw the strength of Tang Zichen and Wang Lin. Come here, Wang Lin brought Wang Chao to the riverbank. Legend has it that Bodhidharma crossed the river with a reed, which is not impossible. In the realm of Chinese martial arts, once he reaches the level of Hua Jin, he can swim below his knees. Speaking, Wang Lin took off his shoes and carried them in his hand, walking step by step into the water. At the end of the day, it's just a control over strength. Use your feet to exert dark energy, step on the water, and exercise your toes to achieve a balance of dark energy. Lift your whole body up, and this is the step to dissipate energy. The flowing river water submerged Wang Lin's soles, ripples echoing on the water surface, and vortices appeared beside Wang Lin, supporting his entire body and causing him to stop on the surface of the water. By practicing the dark energy with the bright energy, and the dark energy spreading throughout the body, it is the transformation of energy. As the voice spread further and further, Wang Lin's figure also disappeared into the river. On the riverbank, Wang Chao remembered these words and strengthened his determination to become stronger. One day, He will also cross the river barefoot and the water will not reach his knees. At that time, not only can we help brother Wang, but we can also protect sister Tang. Wang Lin saw Wang Chao's resolute expression in the distance and thought to himself, chicken soup is indeed useful. He came today to encourage Wang Chao and plant seeds for the future. The task has been completed. Wang Lin took out his phone from his clothes and said, "Hey, isn't that me? I saw on the mobile news that there was a profile photo of myself, taken by passers-by while Wang Lin was blocking and rescuing people." Wang Lin's body sank into the car and his feet stepped onto the road, looking intact. "You're quite handsome." Wang Lin said a word of narcissism and then let it go. This is not a big deal, and the people will eventually come into contact with the Chinese martial arts world, which is also what he hopes for. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Power up the enemy, I got you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Power up the enemy, I got you. It's already night when Wang Lin returns to his residence. Wang Lin opened the door and as soon as he entered, he felt a faint aura. He frowned and turned to close the door. "I don't know which senior you are, visiting late at night." Wang Lin said coldly into the pitch-black room, "It seems that I underestimated you." A hoarse voice came from the darkness, and a figure emerged from the faint light. I saw an elderly man with graying hair appear in front of Wang Lin. He was very thin, but his waist was still straight, exuding a restrained and firm aura. It was Tang Long who invited the master of Chinese martial arts to deal with Wang Lin. Dong X in. Wang Lin's gaze fixed, not daring to underestimate the person in front of him. He felt the dangerous aura from the old man in front of him. This was the most oppressive experience he had ever felt, except for Ba Liming in Tang Zichen. "Do you know why the senior came to me?" "Huh, kid, you offended the leader of Tang Long Tang and killed Zhao Li." Dong Xian opened his mouth and said, although he was 2 rows old, his teeth were still very intact. From this Wang Lin, it can also be seen that the old man in front of him is at least Huajin, or an old-fashioned Huajin. In the dull atmosphere, a faint wind gradually sounded, and Dong Xian suddenly disappeared in front of Wang Lin. Shua, fist wind sounded from Wang Lin's left, as if breaking the air. Wang Lin leaned slightly to the right and dodged the punch, which left him in a mess. With a bang, the wall next to Wang Lin was punched through by the old man, and stones bounced out and inserted into the floor, breaking the window. Wang Lin clenched his palm in his left hand and made a fist, his entire body clicking under the force of his large muscles. He hit Dong Xian directly in the lower ribs, but to his surprise, the old man suddenly shrank and kicked Wang Lin in the chest, like a long spear piercing Wang Lin. Shrinking bone skill. Wang Lin was momentarily careless and was directly hit, causing his qi and blood to churn. Then came the stormy attack, and countless fist shadows emerged around him. A figure shuttled by Wang Lin's side, slippery like a loach. Wang Lin couldn't hit it at all, and his body was constantly getting injured. After being beaten, Wang Lin quickly took 3 steps back and widened the distance. I saw Wang Lin's chest clothes being kicked open, leaving a big hole. His clothes and pants were also torn, and the contours of his abdominal muscles were visible. "After taking so many punches from me, are you still alive? Have you entered the realm of Huajin?" Dong Xian was puzzled. He really didn't expect Wang Lin to become Huajin at such a young age. It took him decades to enter this realm back then. Wang Lin couldn't help but feel grateful as he used the dark energy inside his body to dissolve the force that Dong Xian had injected into his body, calming the surging qi and blood all over his body. Fortunately, the tiger roaring golden bell shield and the dragon whispering iron cloth shirt have been trained to a small level. Otherwise, I would have died or been disabled with this set. Thinking of this, Wang Lin couldn't help but sneer and say, "Old man, you've hit me before. Now it's my turn to hit you." I saw Wang Lin stretching out his hands, and a series of sounds came from all over his body, like the roaring of dragons and tigers. In just an instant, Wang Lin's figure began to grow. His height expanded and his muscles expanded wildly until he approached 2 meters before stopping, like a giant standing in front of Dong Xian. The muscle patterns on his shoulders were clearly visible, like those made of steel, emitting a compelling force. At the same time, Wang Lin's heartbeat and breathing became heavy, and he could hear a thumping heartbeat. The changes in his body and muscles made Wang Lin emit a terrifying force. With the tiger howling golden bell shield and the dragon singing iron cloth shirt, Wang Lin Kai was at his strongest moment. Wang Lin felt a pain in his waist and saw Dong Xian punching Wang Lin with a shocked expression on his face. Wang Lin exerted force in his waist and directly shook the old thing out. The tiger roars and the golden bell covers the dragon's singing iron cloth shirt. Dong Xian was shocked, but his eyes became even more gloomy, which reminded him of the shame of being defeated by Bao Liming back then. Wang Lin stood still and directly punched out the 3 emperors' cannon fist. He only heard a piercing sound, and his fist appeared in front of Dong Xian. Dong Xian quickly raised his arms to block it. Bang! Dong Xian was hit and flew a few meters into the air before landing on the ground. He shook his almost unconscious hand with a serious expression on his face. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot and he ran quickly towards Dong Xian. I saw the whole villa filled with fist shadows, and the 2 of them kept fighting. Gradually, Dong Xian began to sweat and fell into the disadvantageous position. Quan's fear of being young is not just a joke. He doesn't have enough qi and blood, and he can't beat Wang Lin. He may have to put himself in it. At this point, he began to constantly dodge Wang Lin's attacks, occasionally striking. This makes Wang Lin suffer indescribably. Dong Xian is an old master of energy transformation, knowing the strengths and weaknesses of both sides, promoting strengths and avoiding weaknesses, or living for a long time afraid of death. After a punch, both of them separated and could feel the exhaustion of each other. Dong Xian knew that he was not a match for Wang Lin, and Wang Lin also knew that if the old man in front of him kept avoiding, he would have no choice. Suddenly, Wang Lin stood still, staring at Dong Xian without moving. Dong Xian frowned and didn't know what Wang Lin was doing, but he also knew that only with all his might could he win. Taking a long breath, he saw his emaciated body disappear once again, his muscles tense all over, and he punched Wang Lin from the center of his spinal dragon. As he watched it get closer, he was pleasantly surprised. Surprisingly, Wang Lin didn't dodge. I saw his fist hit Wang Lin, and a muffled snort rang out. It hit Wang Lin's stomach, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Immediately, Wang Lin smiled and said with a bloodthirsty expression, "I've caught you." Dong Xian was shocked and wanted to withdraw his hand, but found that his hand was tightly held by Wang Lin's muscles and could not move at all. Wang Lin opened his hands and hugged Dong Xian, constantly exerting force. Dong Xian's face turned red and he resisted desperately. As Dong Xian struggled non-stop and punched Wang Lin with his fists full of light and dark energy, Wang Lin had no intention of letting go. Wang Lin's veins were bulging all over his body, and he hugged him tightly, only hearing the sound of clicking. This was the sound of Dong Xian's bones shattering, and he felt that there was no struggle in his arms before releasing his hand. The old man in front of the meeting widened his eyes, spewed blood from his mouth, suffered a comminuted fracture throughout his body, and twisted his arms. On the other hand, Wang Lin's body was covered in bruised fist marks and scratches, blood flowed from the corners of his mouth, his ribs were also broken a few times, and his left hand was also fractured in the battle just now. With a hiss movement of his left hand, Wang Lintong took a deep breath of cold air, which was the heaviest injury he had ever suffered in this world. After looking at the body in front of him, he took out his phone and called Tang Zichen. "I have a Huajin who wants to kill me, but I killed him. Please send someone to handle it. If Wang Lin handles this kind of matter himself, it will be very troublesome. It's better to let Tang Men do it, and he also helps Tang Zichen take care of Wang Chao." Then he said with a murderous expression, "Tang Long, you're not far from death. End of this chapter.